Good morning and welcome to the Red Letter Challenge, day 35, here at Ascension Lutheran Church in Citrus Heights. I'm Pastor Scott. I'm just hanging out here next to an empty chair, just hoping maybe some stranger might come and sit down and we can strike up a conversation. Because today's red letters are, I was a stranger and you welcome me. These red letters come from Matthew 25, the same place where we read last week about Jesus saying, when I was hungry, you gave me something to eat, and when I was naked, you clothed me. And now he's saying to the disciples and those gathered, when I was a stranger, you welcomed me. All signs of hospitality. Have you ever met a stranger? Are you one of those people who they say they've never met a stranger because you were happy to and willing to and like to talk to anybody and everybody, that if somebody sat down in the chair next to you, you would begin to tell their story, your story to them and hear their story? Or would you be more likely to keep your head in your book and hope that they didn't talk to you? We all have different gifts and a different willingness and comfortability in terms of interacting with strangers. But the truth of the matter is we've all done it at one time or another. In fact, we've all done it more often than I think we probably even realize. Everybody at one point was a stranger to us, even the people you're related to. Whether you met them when you were born or they were born or met them later in life, at some point you were introduced to them. Relatives, cousins, aunts, uncles, step siblings. At some point you were introduced to them and they had been a stranger to you, but then they become known to you. And it's not just in family. Some of us, most of us I suspect, have friends that we know better than we know our own families. And they were strangers to us at some point. Do you ever go on vacation? I hope you do. I suspect you do. Do you travel? Have you been on a cruise or have you gone on a tour on a vacation? Those people who you've eaten meals with on those vacations, whether it's a cruise and you're assigned to a table or a tour and you were in a bus with people that you didn't know at the beginning of the trip, they were strangers to you at that time. But hopefully by the end of that cruise or the end of that tour, you've gotten to know them and they've gotten to know you, and they don't feel like strangers anymore. My in-laws went on a cruise a number of years ago and made friends with a couple who they still see today and still keep in contact with. They were strangers. They didn't know them when they got aboard that ship. And they've maintained a relationship. When I was a stranger and you welcome me, it may sound intimidating, but the reality is we've all done it. And I think it's something we should all continue to seek out opportunities to meet people, to begin to forge relationships with folks and not close ourselves off, but actually entertain the idea of breaking bread with people we haven't known before. When we lived in Connecticut, we used to go out to lunch every Sunday after church. And one of the reasons was so that we might get to know other people in our community. After worship, we lived next door to the church in a parsonage. We would get in our car and drive downtown to the same diner every week. We had what we called the lunch bunch, and we invited anybody from the church who wanted to join us to go down there. And the people who owned the restaurant, the people who served us every Sunday, had started off as strangers, but then became known by us and us to them. In fact, one of the servers asked me to baptize her newborn daughter. And we joked about doing it right there at the church, or right there at the restaurant, but in the 3-compartment sink, but we went ahead and did it at the church. And one of my fondest memories then is when we were leaving the church there, that Tom, the owner of that diner, catered our going away brunch, which was quite a treat. Those people had been strangers and then became known to us and us to them. And in that breaking of the bread, I believe that Jesus was revealed and the love of God explored through our relationship. A challenge for certain, but I encourage you to get to know those whom you encounter today and this week, your neighbors, those you might work with or near or even sit next to or near at a restaurant. I look forward to seeing you tomorrow.